From the thong-wearing beaches of Miami, Florida, to the flannel-wearing ski bunnies of Whistler, BC. This is The Qualk Show with your host, Carol Rosher.
Welcome to The Qualk Show, everybody, and happy Saturday night. On tonight's show, we are going to be talking about what's been going on with this whole gorilla thing in the Cincinnati Zoo. In specific, this has everybody's up in arms. And the aspect that we want to take to it is a little bit more of a discipline approach. For example, did this parent have enough discipline over their child in order to for them not to end up in the cage, or is this something that every parent is their nightmare? We've all lost our child in the grocery store, in the park, things of that nature. And so do we as a society have any right to judge what went on in this incident with this ape in the Cincinnati Zoo? And how do you get your kids to listen to you potentially so that they don't end up like this young child did in the Cincinnati Zoo? Sin, how can people get a hold of us today?
Oh, sure. Well, they can go to Facebook, to The Qualk Show, and there's a symbol of flowers there, and if they look at that symbol of flowers, then our friend Hallie will be there talking to them tonight.
Awesome. Hallie's on standby to answer those questions and help out all of our viewers. So, as usual, if you want to comment, be a part of the show, if you want to argue with us, this is going to be a hot button show. We're talking about spanking. We're talking about should you, shouldn't you, why or why not? Does it serve any purpose, or is it just a old way of doing things and there's better ways to do things now? We're going to touch on that a lot, and there's differing opinions on our panel, and I'm sure those of you at home are going to have something to add as well. Let's meet tonight's cast. We have Heidi from Heidi Helps. We have Sin from Sincerely. As usual, we have Stephanie B. And we have our very special guest, Chanel, tonight. Chanel has been an avid supporter of the show since its inception. She's always tuning in. She's always chatting with us online and letting her opinions be known, which is so awesome for us. She's a mom to 3 beautiful kids, and we're just super excited to have you here with us tonight, Chanel, so welcome.
Thank you.
How was everybody's week? I know that the Qualk Show has been on a 7-day shred this week with our guest from last week, Jamie Messina. Stephanie, I'd like to hear from you first. How are things going?
Well, we have our production meetings on Wednesdays for the Qualk Show, so we usually talk all day because we're awesome like that. But Wednesdays, I run the show, we get it done, we get it going. Well, I had to dip out because I was hardcore detoxing sugar like a crackhead, and I felt sick all day long, and I had such a crazy headache, and I fully could have admitted that I was full-on sugar addict that day. So that was a rough week. Every single day had its own challenges, but I am clean eating free as of today. I cheated with a cheese stick and a granola bar at some point because I have a really long day at work, but yeah. I survived, and it was because of you people. So thank you. Everyone in our Qualk Show 7-Day Challenge page totally lifted me up this week. So I'm getting there.
And all of us that are on the show tonight have been a part of this 7-day shred. Even Chanel's been on there with us, and we've all been supporting each other. What did you think, Sin? Was doing it together, did it add a different element than every time that we try to do it alone? Or, did it add any kind of support or any element that you think was boded well for our success?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't hear you over this mountain. No, just kidding.
Nicely done.
I think that being accountable to other people, like I felt like I couldn't cheat because I had to be honest with everybody, and so I had to, I didn't want to let anybody down. It wasn't. I don't have a food addiction. I know other people who do, and so I felt like it was super important for me to be super supportive and to stick to it, and to acknowledge how hard it was. It was hard for me too. But I think that, you know, all of us in it together and sharing our joys and challenges really helped us to stay accountable. I think a lot of things work that way. If a group of people support each other, it works out. So I really liked it.
For sure.
It comes down to a really basic tenet that like you are ill in isolation, you get well in a community, and so when you have other people who have the same end goal and are there with you on the journey, it just encourages our communal nature to want to get well together. So
For
I think
sure.
it's a vital piece. Yeah.
Not only that, but it was highly entertaining. Watching your guys' live feeds this week, I was laughing out loud at Stephanie eating her lettuce leaves.
Yo, I was traumatized.
Yes.
I came home to a veggie patty, 4 pieces of lettuce, and whatever. What was the third thing?
There was some avocado.
Avocado. 3 slices of avocado. After a 12-hour day, I was like, am I
Not enough
trying to kill me?
calories.
So it was okay.
Yeah.
We worked it out, but yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, and let's see, Heidi's cooking shows every morning were highly entertaining, especially once the accent got in there a little bit.
Yeah.
Sin, as per usual, highly entertaining. And yeah, I don't know about the rest of you. And I'm not going purely by the scale because I don't believe that the scale always is a good representation. But that being said, for being on it for 6 days, and I didn't follow it I followed it from the standpoint of clean eating, calories in, calories out, but I didn't make necessarily everything that was on the list due to personal preference. And I was down 5 pounds yesterday. So
I was 6 today.
Yay!
Yep, 6 as well over here. 6 pounds over here. I was very excited about that.
Really, Sin? That's actually awesome.
Yeah.
Because when you're bigger, it tends to fall. Like, I can gain or lose 20 pounds seemingly like that.
Oh, but I weigh more than I look like I weigh, I think, because I'm tall. But yeah,
Gotcha.
I was really happy about it. I think a lot of it was drinking the extra water. I lost some bloat that I was holding on to, water weight. So,
For sure.
you know.
For sure. Have you guys been drinking alcohol at all this week?
I haven't.
I love you.
Please, that is not my drug of choice. Chocolate bar. I see you out there.
Yeah.
I'm down 6.8 pounds.
Yay! That's awesome.
I have a huge chunk to lose, so it will come off. And like Carol, I can literally gain 5 pounds in like a day and a half. Like my scale will read that.
So I need to apologize to the viewers today a little bit because I am having some technical difficulties today. So I am coming to you live from my cell phone, which is like the tiniest little.
Aww.
I wonder why your head was so close. I see up your nose.
Exactly.
You look good, though.
Well, thank you, as do everybody else. One of the followers of my live stream told me that I looked like I lost some weight on my face, so they are my new best friend. Anything else other than lifestyle change happen for anybody this week, or is it a pretty kosher week?
Yeah, some gorilla, right? And some kid. Right. I want to get to it. Let's shut it up.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Can I just jump right in on that?
Let's do it.
Something that we were talking about earlier inspired me. You know how us being all accountable to each other for the diet helped?
Yeah.
Who watches someone else's kid jump into a gorilla pit and doesn't say, "Hey kid, stop"?
Yeah,
no
exactly.
kidding, right?
You're passionate about it, Sim.
Someone was commenting on that okay, so the parents were not there, it's debatable. I don't know if anybody's read any more on this, how long the child, they believe, was between leaving their parents' eyesight and getting into the cage. But you're right, where was everybody else? And, we had a discussion about this at our production meeting on Wednesday, and there's a feeling out there, that due to the Sue a Happy United States and different things of that nature, that you wouldn't necessarily put your nose in where it wasn't, where it didn't belong. Chanel, if you saw a child just about, to get into harm's way, is there anything in you that would hesitate to help, or would you just jump right in?
Never. I would jump right in. I don't see. The thing that amazed me with this whole situation is all these videos and stuff went up afterwards of people getting clips of this happening, and you can see the mounds of people and How could not one of them see what was happening? How could one of them not intervene to try and stop this situation? I mean, we're talking about a silverback gorilla and a toddler.
Yeah. And if that was your child that ended up in there, is there any amount of people in the world that would hold you back from jumping in there as well?
No, man, I would have gone toe-to-toe with that gorilla.
I'd have been in there. They'd have had to hold me back. Sadly, I'd have been right in.
Exactly. So that is 100% what we're going to be talking about on today's show. We're going to be talking about it from all different aspects. We're going to be talking about the incident itself, and then that's going to lead us into a little bit more about discipline. And, you know, it has been said that the parents, there's been said from all different sides, we're going to cover all of it, but just on this particular one that perhaps they were negligent or that they did not have their child under control for this incident to happen in the first place. So,
are you kidding? Have you ever gone to the zoo with a 4-year-old? They run away. They do their own thing. It's really hard.
Well, I believe in
stroller.
our children like any other animal. I mean,
well, I think a 4-year-old, it's hard to keep them contained in a stroller and happy. You know what I did with my daughter? I had her on a leash. I totally did.
So did I.
I had her on a leash because she's on the autism spectrum. She couldn't understand the safety issues herself, and you can't keep her locked in a stroller her entire life. She needs to explore. So if she's on a leash, she can explore a little bit herself, and I think that was safer. She wouldn't have gotten into a gorilla pit.
My parents had me on a leash when I was younger, and I thought it was the most demeaning, disgusting, just awful thing.
How old
that
were
they
you?
had
Yeah,
ever.
if you're old enough to remember,
That's not cool.
Yeah, that's a little long.
It was last year. My mom was like, "Get back here, Carol." No, no. But the thing is that I remember I was like probably 4 or 5, but I have cognitive memories from back then, and I hated it. And I would see other parents with their kids and be judgmental about that. 100% I would do it now. My child's safety is worth the leash as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, you can get a cute one that's attached to a little backpack and they like wearing it and stuff, and it's fine.
Well, there's
Mine's, Winter's got a little monkey.
And there's all sorts of different kinds now. I was totally against them till I had children.
Yep.
They are, to me, one of the best inventions in the world.
Invented by parents for parents.
Exactly.
Right?
My kid will go in a stroller until she doesn't fit anymore. Period.
Yeah.
My wife and I are very specific on what the rules are. If you break the rules, we go the hell home. We don't stay. So I don't really know what the problem is parenting your children lately, and I can't speak on that particular situation. I wasn't there. And I'm a human being that refuses to judge unless I actually freaking saw it with my eyes or spoke to the person that happened to. Because I hate that everyone feels like their opinions is a valid way to explain what happened. You weren't there. You have no freaking idea. Maybe mom was seizing and the kid ran away. We have no idea.
Not only that, but you know,
that's a long sneeze.
A zoo enclosure shouldn't be enterable anyway.
No,
Exactly.
and that's true. And but you know what? It goes back to me for in ways that I feel like ethically for me, I'm not a zoo person. I don't necessarily feel that we should have them. You know, have I gone to them? Yes. But every time I get there, I feel sad inside. So for me, it's not, when that happened to me, I was like, for me, it's about enclosure. And for me, we wouldn't be put in those situations if we didn't put ourselves there. With that being said, I personally know someone who works at a zoo that is very passionate about their animals. But in turn, I wouldn't necessarily say that these things would happen if you didn't have these animals in captivity.
Yeah, I actually completely agree. I don't know if the zoo is someplace that I'll ever take my child. I mean, I know that they're going to probably want to go and experience it, but it goes against everything I believe in as far as caging wild animals. I certainly won't be taking her to a circus. Circuses are just a whole other ball game as far as animal treatment and different things of that nature. But I agree that I think zookeepers, on the whole, I mean, they're there to care for the animals, and they truly love the animals. Whether or not they should be caged is something for another show, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the zoo near me is very big on animal conservation. They take in injured animals and endangered animals. They breed endangered animals, and they reunite them into the wild sometimes. I think that's a different story. The enclosures all look like a natural environment, and they give them stimulating things to play with all day. So I think it's a little different than a regular zoo.
Until they run more than 20 steps and hit a wall. But I mean, you know, that's
right.
I'm just kidding.
We're not talking about your house,
Carol. You think my partner gives me 20 feet to run? Hell no, I got like 3 feet. You know, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this at length over the next hour. For those of you at home that want to weigh in on this, if you have an opinion, I know you're out there because we've talked to you all week, and for the last couple of weeks, we've talked to you about discipline. We've talked to you about the ape. I know everybody's really opinionated about it. Write in because we'd love to hear what you have to say and spark a little debate here on the show. Let's roll with hot flashes before we get much further here.
Go.
Betty Davis, or Bette Davis, stated, "Discipline is a symbol of caring to a child. They need guidance. If there is love, there is no such thing as being too tough on a child. A parent must also not be afraid to hang himself." Not literally. "If you have never been hated by your child, you have never been a parent." So I think in some ways this is true. The kids I knew growing up that had no rules and ran free, they also didn't seem like a huge priority to their parents. What was your experience growing up? Like, was there the kids that, you kind of wished you were them because they could kind of come and go as they please, and they didn't seem to have a lot of rules, but
yeah,
I think that they're the ones that were aching for attention.
I want to put a squash on that. There's no such thing as being too tough on a child. Because even if people love children, there are abusive families that are way too tough on their kids,
Right.
even if they love them. Because maybe they're mentally ill, maybe they're not capable. So yes, you can be too tough. You can set your expectations too high. You can. I think that's a kind of a silly statement.
Yeah.
Though, but the crux of raising a child is giving them appropriate boundaries and helping them understand what consequences they can expect from various types of behavior, and that creates safety, and that is the most loving way in order to raise your child, is so that they have the ability to develop things like distress tolerance, so they have the ability to understand that there are actual consequences for attitudes and words and behaviors. So
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it would be great. Go ahead, Sin.
I was going to say, it's really important to have some structure there. It's super important to have some structure and some discipline there, because if you let your kid do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it, they don't grow up to be a compassionate, kind member of society. They grow up to be someone who thinks they can do whatever they want whenever they want, and that's not okay.
You mean like Donald Trump?
Yeah. or this kid who
he
thinks
definitely wasn't spanked enough.
No, or this kid who thinks, dumpsters are a great place to violate people who are, unconscious, and his father thinks it's okay. These kind of things.
Well, it was only 20 minutes of action, Sin.
That's right, just 20 minutes of action. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
The one thing I was going to say is, one thing I find about my generation and the generation after me is they've gotten lazy with parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Electronics, tablets, iPads, leap pads. How many kids I see parked in front of them for hours and hours and hours? It's so sad. Kids don't want to go outside and play at the park anymore. They don't go outside. They want to sit and game out on, mindless crap. Because parents are tired at the end of the day, and instead of taking their kids to the park or taking them for the walk, and again, that comes back to how the kids are going to behave. They need to expend that energy. They need to be able to be imaginative and have that playtime just as much as us parents need our downtime. And when that's not happening, again, then we see behavior issues.
Right on. Theo? Go ahead.
No, I completely agree. I mean, to me, it's like, there's so many times I get home at the end of my workday and I don't feel like doing one other thing. And you know what? For 40 years, I didn't do one other thing. I popped my feet up and I did whatever the hell I wanted to at the end of the day. But now, my daughter is happy to see me. She's bored. She doesn't want to be in the house. It's like, okay, let's go to the park. Let's go for a walk. Let's do all these things. If you're not prepared to invest that kind of time in your children, don't have them. Just like if you want to get a big dog and you never want to walk it outside of your house, don't do it. That's not fair to them, and it's not fair to a child to not engage them mentally and physically. We can talk about diets and how the generations coming up are obese and da-da-da-da, but Nicole's mom always brings up a good anecdote to me, which is, I ate lots of candies and stuff growing up too, but I was very thin because we went outside and played. We may have had like a treat, but then we ran it off for 3 hours. So yes, it's what we're eating, but it's also the lack of physical activity in our life, and that has to do with the parents. In a lot of cases, the parents, it's easier for parents to sit them down with the leap pad than to actually go out and supervise them playing in the great outdoors.
The opposite problem is also true.
And kids are not socializing. So you're getting kids that are entering into kindergarten and have no concept of how to actually play with another kid, really, or how to resolve very basic stuff they were supposed to figure out when they're 2-3 years old in terms of how to interact and personal space and boundaries just with each other. So.
Yeah. The opposite is also true, the over-parenting. I mean, when I was doing the mad science thing in schools, I would have 9- and 10-year-olds asking me to help tie their shoe because their parents have always done it for them. And I'm
Dear
like,
God.
yeah.
Let us pray.
Over-parenting, and the parents who go swoop in and fix every problem. You have to let your kids face challenges on their own and mess up a little bit too.
Which is super hard. It's not that it's not hard, because I can already see it. My daughter already has me wrapped. My partner always points out to me that she works me, whether it's mealtime and she always gets the spoon from mom and not from the other mom, and then the food's everywhere, or whatever the case may be. I better toughen up at some point over here, because she's going to work me.
Let me just say this. The next time you do that to your kid, because truthfully, it's balance, remember that they're watching you, not listening to you. So everything that you do, they are hearing 10 times louder than what you actually say. And so you have to do this dance. You have to show them by example while actually disciplining them and making sure they don't die. I think that's the line. I am married to the complete polar opposite of me. And I would definitely say she would totally agree that she is more of a helicopter parent than I am. But you better believe if my daughter's going to go into the middle of the street, I'm going to come after her. And, and I'm going to allude to this later in the spanking conversation, but that was the first time I spanked her because I said, don't go in the street. You could have actually died. And she didn't understand. And she laughed in my face. And I thought, you know what? Spanked her right on her butt. And she cried. And she goes, ah! And I was like, that hurts. But if you got hit by a car, that hurts 10 times worse. And she never went into the street
or
again.
die.
Well, you would die. But, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you'll see as Tay gets older too. That rap part is a fine line between don't die and I want to be your best friend.
For sure. For sure. Stanley Greenspars has said, good discipline is more than just punishing or laying down the law. It is liking children and letting them see that they are liked. It is caring enough about them to provide good, clear rules for their protection. So I definitely believe that liking your child and them knowing it is the first step. I mean, I've seen parents out there that it doesn't seem like they like their children very much. And to me, Taya is my best friend. Now, am I going to treat her as my best friend growing up and she's going to have no rules? No. However, she's who I want to spend my time with at the end of the day. Her and Nicole, she's like my best little buddy. So I definitely think that growing up with your child knowing that they are at least liked by their parents is a good step. But I would prefer my child not exhibit a certain behavior because they love me and respect my opinion of them so much, not because they are scared of me. Do you think that's possible, that your child is not going to do a certain behavior because they respect you and love you so much, or do they have to fear the spank?
It depends how old they are. I think no 2-year-old's going to think, I respect and love my mother, so I'm not going to go pull someone's hair. They're 2. I think it depends on the developmental stage they're in. I think, and as far as liking your kids, there are going to be times when you don't like them very much as you love them.
Sure.
There were times, I love my daughter dearly, love her so much, but there were times when she was a baby, when she would scream for 23 hours a day, that I didn't like that. I didn't like her sometimes.
You didn't like it?
I loved her.
What's wrong with you, Sin? Terrible parenting.
Best.
Sleeping an hour a day was fun.
Yeah, right?
My partner has a full-grown son, but I came into the picture when he was 14, and we had a fairly difficult time with him through his teenage years. And I can honestly say that I love her son. But there are definitely moments in there when both of us were like, I don't even know how to like him right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Is it harder from a step parent perspective than for a child that you bore yourself or raised from infancy?
Yeah. I never got to see him cute and loving and friendly and
you got the teenage years.
Yeah, but I trusted who I saw in little moments because he is a really genuinely cool guy, like he is, and always was. And we would get like little moments. There were sometimes really far in between, and I trusted in that piece, understanding that he's a teenager and he was just had a particularly difficult time getting his feet under him and he just struggled, right? So so but there were definitely moments where
I think one of the things one of the things that this brought up for me when talking about being liked and respected was, it's not necessarily a parenting story, but I was in, I don't know, it was grade 7 probably, and I had a phys ed teacher who I ended up seeing later at the gay bar. Shocker! But anyway,
a female phys ed teacher?
No,
unusual.
She did tap me on the shoulder, and I turned around, and she said, "Rosher, I've been waiting for the day I'd see you here." I swear to God, after 10 years. But anyways,
she was keeping on you, and you're getting changed.
I know. I digress, but for me, it brought to mind this story, which was we were all cross-country skiing with our phys ed class one day. And believe it or not, I used to be in the hallway quite a bit for talking out of turn and not necessarily listening to the teacher and making all of my friends laugh instead of paying attention to
who you?
Never. I know that's very hard to believe. I know it's very hard to believe, but that was me. But I didn't really care. Like, I didn't care what the teachers thought or blah, blah, blah. But this teacher, me and my friends, Christy and Leslie, and I can't remember who else, maybe they were watching, we took off on the cross-country skis. I don't know how we did it. We were at the end of the pack, and we just took off, went down to the corner store, and bought gum and all sorts of things. And when we get back, of course, they've noticed that we're missing. And we go into the principal's office.
Well, you're leaving tracks, I mean.
Right. And we're going to get in shit and all this stuff and whatever else. But you know what hurt the very most was that teacher who we all loved came in with almost tears in her eyes and said, "You know, you guys, I could have lost my job. I could have, you could have got me fired. You could have da-da-da-da. I'm just really disappointed in you girls. I thought that we were better friends than that." And like the hugest, oh my God, we suck as human beings and blah, 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 blah. So I guess when I say, you know, I guess I'm thinking of older kids, but I really hope that my child grows up going, you know what, my mom would be super disappointed if this is the decision I make, instead of going, my mom is going to tan my hide if this is the decision that I make.
I hear that. I like it better when my kids make great decisions that has nothing to do with what I think of it. I love it when my teenage daughter makes a decision about relationships or drugs based on information she knows about relationships or drugs and her own values and morals. I love that.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. No, I agree.
My daughter, for her birthday, said she wanted to help babies. So we've offered to make a collection for the Baby Outreach Program here as part of her party or whatever. But when she said
adorable.
That, I wanted to melt.
You know what? I accept that offer, and she is more than welcome to babysit Taya tomorrow evening after we leave the party.
This is the 2-year-old that's going to babysit now.
Exactly.
She'll be 3.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes all the difference in the world.
Exactly.
She can make her own honey sandwich. So.
Exactly. Bill Crawford wisely said, to spank or not to spank isn't the question. The question is whether we are teaching a quality we want our children to have as adults. So this is kind of what it all comes down to for me. People say you have to hit your kids. We got hit when we were kids, and look how we turned out. Yes, but maybe we is not what I'm aiming for when raising my own child.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing I want to point out. There's a whole bunch of people who say we don't want to spank our kids because it's going to make them violent. But these people are the ones that are saying, don't want to spank my kids. We're spanked as our child. So obviously there's some out there who got spanked and don't grow up to have what they would
for sure.
consider aggressive, violent behavior. I personally don't believe spanking to be aggressive and violent. And when you look to the actual scientific literature on the subject, so whenever we get into these conversations, somebody always throws up links to this Gershoff study.
You mean there's a professional that knows better than most people? I'm listening.
2001 and 2013. There's two different studies. And this is what everybody that gets really passionate, they throw up these articles. And the problem with these articles is when they're exploring the long effects of spanking, they're not defining what spanking is. So they're including people who have a very few and far in between incident of a one swift swat to the butt, the child understanding why they were swatted, and a resolution or a closing out of that experience, to the same parents who consider spanking to be, I've got a belt and you're going to have welts on the bottom of your behind for a week.
Yeah.
That's all together.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So and they post blogs. People, when you're arguing science, don't post blogs, please. Like the thing about posting blogs.
We're asking Americans, Canadian, not to be American. Okay?
We have a whole section.
Research. Yeah.
We have a whole section of our government that tries to vote laws in to say science isn't real. Like they try to vote on the House floor whether global warming's happening. Like that would change whether it's happening or not.
We see you, Sarah Palin.
Yeah, we see you, Sarah Palin.
Did you know that the House of Commons actually debated for 20 minutes last year in the Harper government, had a 20-minute debate about what would happen in the case of a zombie apocalypse. I shit you not.
I love it.
Well,
I'm wasting my tax-paying dollars.
The United States Centers for Disease Control issued a what to do about a zombie apocalypse on their webpage as a satire.
I love it.
But it was actually a publicity stunt to get people to do emergency preparedness kits for floods and hurricanes and tornadoes and things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, what do you think?
I think no matter what, it's a double-edged blade. You're always going to have people that are super anti-spank, people who will start off saying, I'm never going to spank, and when people say that, they're never going to spank if they have just an infant, you don't know what it's going to be like in 3-4 years. So you can go into it saying, I hope I'm never going to have to spank my child. I'm hoping they're going to make the decisions that I'm hoping that all the things I'm instilling in them. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. I have spanked my daughter, and I've spanked my 2 oldest children. Yes. Now, when I say spank, I mean a swat on the ass. I don't mean belts. I don't mean wooden spoons. I don't mean anything like that. I don't mean going for anywhere on the body. I mean one swat on the butt to explain why they are getting it. Like, I don't just spank them and stick them in a corner or send them off. You know, we sit down and we have a conversation and I explain why they've been spanked. And it's not my go-to either. I think a lot of people who are anti-spanking think that us spankers just go straight to, oh, they've been back, let's spank them. No, that's not the case. We exhaust all other options, but people have to remember each child is different. Each situation is different, and each parent is different. And what one works for one may not work for the other. And that's just the way it is. I'm learning with having 3 children, 10, 4, and 2, that my parenting tactics that I worked with my oldest isn't working with my youngest. He just sits there and laughs at me and is like, you're funny, Mom. No. Right?
Don't get me.
Right? And I never spank my children when I'm angry, because that's something I learned when I was spanked when I was a child. When you spank when you're angry, you tend to spank a lot harder.
Yeah, I'm curious. You come out of nowhere after you're done meditating?
Yeah. So your child's done something really bad, and you're like pissed about it in the moment because they're being bad. So you send them to their room and you all calm down, and then you go up and be like, okay, now.
No. Like, they will get spanked, but I'm saying, like, if I'm not able to control my emotions, if I am at that point where I'm so angry that I know I can feel it, I will not spank them. That is when I will go put my child in my room, their room, close the door, and they can go absolutely ballistic for 10 minutes. They can scream, they can run up and headbutt the door for all I care. They're not going to hurt themselves, and I'll take that time. but I've learned you never hit when you were that angry, and that's where I think a lot of anti-spankers that I've spoken with, they feel that parents are just so angry and they do more damage than they maybe intend to.
Yeah.
So for me, it's knowing that boundary within yourself as well, being able to deal with your own emotions when parenting, because parenting is hard.
Yeah.
It goes to what Stephanie said about modeling for kids. So when I get that angry at my kids, I tell them, you know what? I need a break. I'm going up in my room for 5 minutes.
It's best that you give Mama a break right now.
Yeah. I need a break. I need some quiet time. And what's good is that teaches them that when they're that upset and they're that pissed off, they can say, Mom, I need a break. I need a few minutes alone. I need to handle this. It's different than time out. It's more like, hey, I need some space right now.
It's emotional self-regulation, being able to regulate your emotions on your own.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is
So that's emotional
regulation.
Emotional regulation comes from distress tolerance. How people learn distress tolerance is that they need to endure something of a negative fashion in a loving and supportive environment. Mm-hmm. So you need to be able to also, like, that's the crux of how we teach and learn.
It's kind of odd that.
Sorry, Stephanie got cut off a couple times. I wanted to make sure she.
It's kind of odd that I do feel the way that I do about spanking, because I was spanked growing up, and I think in a very parental way. My mom never agreed in hitting in the face or anything like that. Like you see, some parents slap their kid in the face or whatever. But it was never my mom. She didn't believe in
the face.
We've seen that.
In front of all you in live feed.
I was never hit with any objects. She didn't believe in wooden spoons or switches or any of that kind of stuff. So I was definitely not beat as a child, and I do remember towing the line a few times because I didn't want to get a spank. But even though it was a humane spank, I'm just a bleeding heart. I can't even properly own a dog because I cannot talk down to them. I cannot keep them on the floor. I cannot discipline them. I am just a bleeding heart. It's already well known in my family that I'm going to be the weak parent when it comes to the kids. And I don't know. I've just never been one to hit another human being.
Did you ever get your ass beat in school?
I did. I had my face split open outside the gay bar. Well, it wasn't in school because I was big enough in school and tough enough acting. Here's what it is. I've always acted really tough, so people don't want to mess with me. They don't really want to see what's underneath all that because I'm a big girl. And
you're saying you're a lipstick. You hear that, all you people? She's actually a lipstick.
She's fluffy.
I'm a lipstick that wears the strap on. I don't know what that categorizes me as, but anyways,
there's some information.
That's right.
That's a whole other talk show right about now.
That's
which chopstick is the fork?
Sorry, Grandma.
And who knows? Maybe I remember one time being spanked when I almost drowned, and I think that would be the only time I would spank someone would be out of sheer just like, oh my God, you're alive, and I can't believe that you ran in the pool when I told you not to, and I'm just grateful you're alive without even thinking about it. But I don't know. Oh, I do know that I just went down, and not
we all just went down.
Well, hello, Carol.
Everyone just went down on Carol.
Exactly.
Here's why I asked you that question, because while I don't think here's why I asked you that question. It's not because I think there's a connection between, you getting beat up in the schoolyard and, your parents, taking a bat to your face.
Yeah.
I honestly think that there's a human reaction that we all have biologically in a defense mode. So what Chanel said is, if you're incapable of walking away when you're that enraged, your first instinct humanly is to attack. And I think that some people have control over that button and some people don't. So that's what leads to beating. And I also think there's an ego issue wrapped around that, and that's why people continually do it for pleasure reasons. But when you were smacking your child, and I'm saying this because I'm not an expert, I only know how I handle my own house, it is literally the final straw of the interactions I'm having with that child, and it is that point that child got so beyond out of control that it's literally like bringing them back to reality. So
For
the
sure.
couple times that I've needed to do that to my daughter, who struggles sometimes with emotional, like getting herself together, it is the only thing that will make her go, oh, and then it redirects her entire attitude. So
what the latest research shows actually is that if it is what is called mild and infrequent, none of these negative behaviors are present at the age like 10, 12, 14. That these other studies that other parents that were talked about in these Gershoff studies and other anti-spanking studies that have been put out there. When spanking is the always go-to or it's severe, then yeah, it's going to have an effect on the overall experience of the child. But when it is considered mild and infrequent, and from what I understand mild to be is that it's a like a quick swat, open hand on the butt. Child understands why they are being disciplined, and there is some kind of resolution or closure discussion for it afterwards.
For sure. So we kind of went around this a little bit backwards today. We were going to do this first segment first and then get to the second, but let's kind of shore it up tonight with this incident at the Cincinnati Zoo with the, I'm sure everybody by now has seen the video of this ape haram. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. Someone can type in and let me know. And the 4-year-old child that fell in his cage. And I don't think anyone is happy that the ape lost his life in this. But what would you do if it was your child in there? And before you get all high and mighty and judging this family, which is easy to do, we've all lost sight of our child for a second in the park or in the mall. Are we any different than this mom? Or was there clear neglect in how the child got so far into the cage without being noticed?
It is
well,
easy.
we don't know. We also don't know when it was that he was noticed, right? Right. Like, is there just like a? Because I personally don't know the structure. So is there like a one wall that he climbed, and then there's like 4 minutes of the mom noticing and going, oh, and maybe she in the.
Sin, I have a feeling that you've investigated this.
I actually.
She was in freeze mode. It didn't have the fight or flight response. She had freeze. So.
Here's the thing. I'm not a zookeeper. I wasn't there. The only videos
you'd make a damn fine zookeeper, though.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't know why you think that. That's an odd supposition to make. But
you keep her ass in line every day.
Well, that's true.
Exactly.
So, but I think that I'm not a zookeeper. I'm not an animal expert. I have to listen to what they say. I've heard some animal experts, say different things. But I also wasn't there. I don't know how far away the 4-year-old was. The only thing I do know is that the 4-year-old was told not to do this. But I wasn't there, so I can't judge. I'm not an expert zookeeper. I do have a degree in child development, and I know a lot about how to deal with kids and what kids are doing. But I don't know about this mom, and I don't know about this kid. And I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. I do know that my kids have gotten away from me and run into traffic before and things like that. And I think that I've lost track of my son or my daughter in the past, and it's heart-wrenching. Thankfully, we weren't near a gorilla cage at the time.
Right? Yeah. How long should your 4-year-old be out of your sight, though, at a zoo? Like?
Oh, never. Not out of your
sight. Especially with open enclosures. Right? But when it comes to this, everyone is going to blame the parents. Everyone wants to blame the mom. Oh, she wasn't watching them. Oh, okay. How many people were in that area?
Yeah.
So many people are scared to do anything if it's not their child. When you see someone going, as I said earlier, if you see someone that's going to get endangered, if you see a kid that's going to potentially climb into a gorilla enclosure, you stop them, you grab them, you yell for help, you do something to draw attention to that situation. With the amount of
the problem is in today's culture, the problem in today's culture is that there's so many people that are afraid that they're going to grab that kid and the parents going to be like, get your hands off my child. What are you doing grabbing my kid? What are you doing touching my kid? Sorry, man, I was just trying to save their life.
I don't know why, because I'm not afraid to spank my kid and I'm not afraid to spank adults. So I don't know what the problem is.
I'm not afraid to spank adults either.
Their leash and that kid is somehow endangering what's happening or they're going to lose their life, I will go right at them and I will explain how that shit needs to be done. So I am the person you want there in that moment.
If that child feared a spanking, that they would have gone in that enclosure.
They
Yes,
might have been
and Joan Orbley is my mother, and if you're watching this, I'm still afraid of you. I will always be afraid of you. The police will never say anything or do anything to me that will make me more afraid than I am of you when you look at my forehead and I know it's coming. So yes,
Right?
I do.
Right?
I think it
now,
depends.
my mom could probably agree that there were some lines that she crossed, but at the same time, no one passionately got me more than she did. And so every time I was like, whoa, is she coming at me? Oh my God, is she coming for me? So I was always looking over my shoulder. So I never got in trouble. I'm not dumb. This kid was dumb.
Yeah.
Or mom let him do what he wants. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it depends. It depends. You know.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
I would say in a situation where a kid is afraid of their parent, they may try to run away from that parent to find a better situation too. It depends.
I don't know if
think
the
maybe-
silverback gorilla is the best. The best
Gorilla's not the best choice, but-
situation.
I'm so sorry,
Right?
it was a gorilla.
Right?
But it's a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
They don't know
Well,
that.
Yeah.
And again, we can't, because none of us
Yeah.
were there. We don't
Well, I
care.
guarantee
We don't know the
this 4-year-old is
situation.
never going to go in a cage again. I guarantee
But-
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I guarantee that 4-year-old is never going near a cage again.
You can't even guarantee that kid's killer's probably like, woohoo, he's flipping
I have a feeling that child is probably never going to step foot in a zoo again.
No, right?
Now,
Yeah.
I don't know how
I
that
believe
enclosure
that
is
child
set up.
will never have a pet in their entire life. I
We
believe
go to the
that
Calgary
child-
Zoo here, and we have, so the one side of the outside gorilla enclosure is open, and it's a straight down, the gorillas, you can look down and you can see them hanging out. Right now they're getting a lot of
Gorillas
attraction.
climb? Can I just say that? Can gorillas not climb?
I don't think on a straight cement ink, like straight up and down they
it's
can.
cement, okay.
So it's
I don't know,
cement,
let
yeah.
me check my degree in gorillas.
And
I
right
don't know.
now, our zoo is getting lots of attraction because we have a new baby gorilla.
Aww.
She's just
Aw.
a little itty bitty thing, so she's drawing a lot of attention. And we went this last week, and it was just with me with that kind of enclosure. I'm not going to let my kids out of my sight, because how many kids
Hell no.
not even will climb over, but will pull themselves over to try and look down to
And
see
fall.
the ones that are at the bottom,
Yeah.
right? So it was
Yeah.
amazing for me to see how many people were just letting their kids run rampant when, seriously, there's not much stuff between us and them. So it was really crazy, and I made sure when there's an enclosure like that my children are by my side at all times.
100%.
There's a
Yeah.
time
I'm gonna
where
end
you
this
can look
segment on
away,
this
and
note.
there's a time you can't.
Yeah, I'm going to end this segment on this note, which is, we've talked about all this stuff. All I want to know is, do you let your kids tap on the glass? Do you let your kids tap on the glass?
No, I do not. No.
Hell
Thank
no.
you.
I let him sit in front.
Thank you.
I let him sit in front in a goddamn stroller. I have pictures to prove it. Challenge me.
No, you teach your
And
kids a
if
little
not, the stroller,
compassion.
they have a leash.
No, I teach your kids compassion and let them know that tapping on the glass, especially at aquariums and stuff, when you tap on the glass, it really bothers the animals. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can we write this
That's
down as
why
a
I'm
future
bringing it
topic?
up.
Should we or should we not put tracking devices in our children?
Oh, I
Because
would in a heartbeat.
That would help. And if they had like the buzz feature, so that we could be like, don't touch the glass.
Yeah.
I think that would keep them safer than me hitting their rear end once in a while.
You should patent that.
anti-smackers.
I'm not entirely against that idea, because the child sex trade and different things terrify me having a
Listen,
little
you
girl.
can remove
I'm
it when you're 18. You graduate high school, your gift is you get your tracking device out, right? What's wrong with that? We can do it with animals.
Oh, so you're
I
going to
don't
give
have
electric
to
violence
track
for
me.
it to be removed.
I will
exactly.
say, I will be the government test. Track me. I have nothing to worry about, right?
Well,
know where I'm
what's
going.
What's nice about teenagers is when they have a cell phone, you can do that now, and they're
Yeah,
not going
yeah.
anywhere without their phone. So
Well, that's probably
exactly. That's true. They can take the battery out though, and then they won't be
Not
tracked.
in
But
an-
what
not in an
teenager's gonna be
iPhone.
without theirs? That's true.
you can't take the battery out of an iPhone.
Yeah,
That is
I'd rather
very
go with
true.
like if their cell phone fell down a drain, I can still track her on her arm to find her.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. Or if she was kidnapped and they threw away the cell phone, we're still finding her. But then they might know where it is and dig it out, and that's just a whole nother.
I don't
movie.
care. I'm
But
one of the
anyways,
wrist, she'd be like,
Yeah.
Mom, pick me up at 8. Right?
Yeah.
Speaking to that shit, it'd be dope.
I love
Wait,
it.
I gotta
I
go.
love it. I want to thank everyone on the panel, and as usual, those of you watching at home. This topic, I think we handled it with taste today and with dignity, and I think you can see on this panel we have differing views from everyone who believes in spanking to those of us who hope to never have to spank in any situation. And next week we're going to talk about Father's Day. Next week is our Father's Day special. So this is the one thing that we cannot be, and that is fathers. As in our current gender identification, we cannot be fathers. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring on a couple of guests next week. We're going to bring on a F to M to talk to the differences between mothers, what they used to celebrate Mother's Day, and now they celebrate Father's Day. And or do they still celebrate Mother's Day? How do they handle that? And of course, that's just one person's opinion. I'm sure we have viewers out there that handle it in different ways, and we'd love to hear from you as well. And we're also going to bring on a gay parent couple, or actually a gay parent, to talk about Father's Day in much the same way that we talked about Mother's Day back in the beginning, or back in May. Because none of us are dads, we're going to bring on some experts, some dads, and talk about Father's Day and different issues. And, you know, I think that it's going to be nice to have a little bit of testosterone on the show for once. And tune in next week if you have any questions.
We all have PCOS. There's more testosterone here than...
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're one of our trans friends and you want to, and you're debating, you know, maybe you have kids and you don't know how it's going to look once you go through with everything, and you don't know how your kids are going to accept you. And we're going to ask our guests next week all of those questions. I think it's going to be a really interesting show from that perspective. Sin, how does everybody get a hold of us again if they want to give us a show topic, if they want to be on the show, if they want to quack with us during the show? What's up?
Sure, there's a couple different ways they can do it. They can comment under this YouTube video after it's not being live anymore. They could also go to thequalkshow@gmail.com, shoot us an email. They could go to thequalkshow.com, or they could go to the Facebook page, The Qualk Show, and talk to us there. I think we're also on Twitter and Instagram, so yeah.
And Pinterest. I don't know if you said Pinterest. We're everywhere.
Just search The Qualk Show. It's always The Qualk Show with no spaces in between, just one word, The Qualk Show, and you'll be able to find it.
Exactly. And we all have our spin-off pages now. We've got Sincerely, Heidi Helps, Stephanie B, Carol Rosher, Hallie. What's Hallie's goes by again? I can't remember because she just recently changed it.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, hallelujah. And there is so much neat, specialized stuff on there. If you don't like me, but you like somebody else, check out their personal page because there's a lot of fun going on there on a daily basis.
Don't like mine if you don't like spanking.
Yeah.
If you like
mine, if you like adult spanking.
If you don't like
Are we talking both times, Steph?
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking one.
Yeah, exactly.
Like my
we can't be see, I'm married. No.
You can like my page if you want a spanking.
Yeah, you can. Okay.
I like my wife, and I'm too tired for that shit.
Like my page.
You can like my page if you were spanked and want to talk about it.
Yeah, please say that again.
I said you can like my page if you were spanked and want to talk about it. So.
Yes.
Exactly. I love it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Here's to spankings. Maybe not for the young, but definitely for the old. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next week. And remember, there is always something to quack about. See you next week, everybody.